Hi, my name is Matt Code, and for my presentation, I read the book Can Companies Do Well by Doing Good by Murat Gevhenk, and it's about corporate social responsibility. So the book is divided into 4 sections. The first part is the introduction to corporate social responsibility. The second part was the literature review, which was my favorite part. The next section is key issues in corporate social responsibility and debates that people have kind of had over time about issues within this topic. And the last section is the research study. So the purpose of this book was to analyze the effectiveness of leadership in the dimensions of culture, awareness, attitude, visibility, and engagement. In Gevhenk's research study, he created this model called CAVE, with 2 A's, which is these 5 dimensions. And he wanted to use it to measure if leadership was a very important part of implementing corporate social responsibility in organizations. So corporate social responsibility has become a key corporate issue, and it's about going above and beyond for communities and helping your employees and the environment around you. It's essentially doing more than is legally required for the people that work for your business and around your business. And we'll get into some examples of what that looks like later. So some challenges of CSR include the culture of CSR, incentivizing employees, and if you're doing it to look good or to be good. This is another issue we'll dive deeper into in the key issues of CSR in the 3rd section. Gevhenk cites one survey in 2016 where 97% of CEOs said that sustainability is an important part of their business model and that they believe that sustainability is important for a business to continue in the long term. So part 2 is the literature review. Gevhenk talks more about corporate social responsibility and defining it. He says that it is a social, ethical, environmental responsibility, and it benefits business and society as a whole. And he calls it corporate self-regulation, where people will be more ethical and regulate themselves better when they're under the public eye, and trying to compete with other businesses to be more socially responsible. He says that there are 3 types of CSR: philanthropic, business practices, and innovation. Philanthropic includes donating money and services, granting scholarships, and offering internship and expertise to people in the community. Business practices includes sustainability, doing things like recycling and reducing waste and using renewable energy. And the last one, innovation, includes creating new forms of business practices, so that way you're more sustainable, which it kind of ties into business practices a little bit. And he gave the 3 examples he gave a lot more examples, but these are the 3 that stuck out to me. Bata, which is a footwear company with factories in various countries such as the Netherlands, Sweden, Croatia, India. And Bata creates villages around their factories and donates resources like school supplies for the kids and like beds and clothing for the people who work in the factory. Hilton, which partnered with Feeding America and the Global Food Banking Network to reduce hunger and food waste. While this is philanthropic, it also kind of ties into sustainability, where if we reduce food waste, we also are reducing methane output in landfills. And Microsoft, which created Microsoft Philanthropies and supports over 700,000 nonprofit organizations and charities around the world. And they're also trying to lessen the global digital divide with their products. Gevhenk, lastly, in this section talks about leadership attributes and leadership theories. Some of these attributes include cognitive capacities, problem-solving skills, personality, motives and needs, social capacities, and knowledge. And then the leadership theories, he talks about a few of them, such as behavioral theory, contingency theory, but the most important one that he discusses is transformational theory. And transformational leadership, which we read a little bit about in our textbook, is the most important one to CSR because it inspires and incentivizes employees to participate in CSR, which can be kind of difficult from, as I know from the reading of this book. So Gevenk posits that leaders are accountable for an organization's CSR output and how much they're contributing to the community, because without leadership, the whole thing kind of falls apart. The next section is key issues in CSR. The first topic that he talks about is how is CSR measured? Is it measured in financial output for the product, how much profit they're making, how they're affecting the community if they're losing money doing CSR, and also their reputation. Gevenk says that there's not one way to measure CSR because it's so complex and there are so many different ways that CSR could look. He also discusses if CSR is good for financial performance or if companies are wasting money trying to be good like this. And he talks about two theories, which are shareholder theory and stakeholder theory. Shareholder theory posits that a company's main goal should be to create wealth and generate wealth. And stakeholder theory talks about a company's mission should include distributing wealth equally, repairing the environment, and endorsing human rights. And shareholder theory kind of looks down upon doing CSR just to like look good, just for your reputation and not because you actually care about the people that you're helping. Gevenk also mentions in regards to financial performance that companies, CSR doesn't really play into how well you do financially, but companies that are more sustainable tend to have a greater profit in the end and to have better stock prices. Lastly, he talks about consumer habits and ethical consumerism. He says that while consumers generally value ethical products and consuming things ethically, it doesn't really affect their buying habits. They're kind of inconsistent with what they buy. And he said that negative CSR information, like if you do something negative and it gets a lot of publicity, even if you do something good and it gets the same amount of publicity, the impact of the negative scenario that you're in will have a larger impact on the business. So the last section of this book is the research study. Gevenk surveyed 79 people, 10 managers and 69 employees at IBM about CSR and the CAVE model that he developed. He includes the survey questions and the interview questions in one of the appendixes of his book. And he found that employees generally have a strong positive emotions about CSR, a medium awareness of CSR. They view social media as the most effective route of getting CSR news and staying up to date. But the level of employee engagement is generally pretty low. He also talks about the limitations of this study. He only researched people in IBM. He didn't meet the standard of 385 plus participants. He only got 79, which I thought was very low. And most of the data he got was collected from Europe. The last section that I want to talk about is my thoughts. I didn't really enjoy reading this book. I thought it was pretty dry and kind of clunky at times. I thought the research study was a little bit sloppy. He said he only got 79 participants and didn't meet his goal of almost 400, which seems a little bit lazy to me. He said it was because of time constraints, but I don't know, that was just my thought about that. He also tried to generalize quite a few times of this study that was done in Europe can be applied to like the entire world, which I don't think that's not true. We talked about it quite a bit in my research methods class, so that was a little bit annoying to me. Yeah, the literature review was okay though. It provided a lot of helpful information. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.